Okay, sorry for the slight delay. Hi everybody. Can everyone see me? Hey, hi. So excited that we will be chatting with a town and with Candace Nelson, my dear friend and like boss extraordinaire. Let me see if I can get Kelly, my town co-founder and also boss extraordinaire. Um, how is everyone doing today? Everyone good? It is very hot here in Austin. I don't know why I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I'm pretending that it's cold outside. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, I see Candace. Let me grab Candace. And I I don't know why I always struggle with this. But hang on. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna get Candace on the line. Talk about. Hi.
Hi.
Hi! You are
Hi.
not the only one. I have such a hard time with the buttons are so small with the IG live invites.
I
It
know.
is.
Nothing like that makes you feel a little old when you're like, I can't see it. Like, what am I supposed to do? What's the Wi-Fi? I don't know.
Very relatable, Jen. Very relatable. Thank you for representing back there.
Yeah, I got two copies. You kidding? And
Oh.
I have to say, we're very very excited because this is a big this is the BFD today because it's the premiere day of your book.
I wouldn't want to celebrate it with anyone else, Jen. Thank you so much. And I know it's a busy day. People are out voting, and so it's really meaningful.
No, absolutely. Yes. So everyone, if you're not voting, please make sure after this live you go and vote. Those of
Right
you
after.
Yes, exactly. So just really quickly to start us off, I just want to talk a little bit. We're just doing this series called Sustain Your Holidays, and we're so honored to have you be our first guest for Sustain Your Holidays with Town, and my co-founder Kelly. And each week we will be highlighting someone with some insight to share about how we can sustain ourselves inside and out. And my first guest is my dear friend and inspiration, Candace Nelson, who you're like boss extraordinaire, entrepreneur, author, dessert disruptor. You're the founder of my favorite Sprinkles Cupcakes, which is a staple in our house. We get it on the daily in the airport on our way home from trips. And now you have a new book out, which is Sweet Success Here. And I am so excited to dive into this book. And really quickly, I'll introduce Kelly in just a sec, but I also want to point out that there is a button to purchase. Is that correct? I exactly how to do it yet, but it is
Yeah,
up there.
and I see people adding it to their wish list and buying it. So thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It makes for a great gift as well. This book, which I'm dive into, is it's fantastic. It's so thoughtful and so well thought out, and it's just it's a pure it's a delight. It's a pure delight. You. So I'm gonna just turn it over to Kelly really fast so she can give a quick intro.
Yeah, so I'm Kelly. I'm one of the co-founders of Town with Jen, and I act as sort of the chief content officer of Town. And we share just sort of a curiosity for wanting to find ways to live more sustainably, not just for the planet, but also for ourselves. And we're so thankful to everyone who's been following along on our journey with Town on kind of trying to find solutions for burnout and how we can live more sustainably, both for the planet and for ourselves. And we're just really inspired by your story, Candace, and how you've kind of taken your passion and this thing that sustains you and how you've taken that and turned it into a very successful career and life for yourself. And so we just kind of can't wait to dive into your book and hear more about your story, and would love for you just to share more about yourself with everyone here today.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely intro, both of you. And I also just want to say that you are exactly the type of founders that I admire, because you are mission driven, you are, rooted in passion and purpose, and that's how the best businesses are born. So yes, I'm Candace Nelson. I'm the founder of Sprinkles. I now have a business called Pizzana, which is coming to Texas as well. We have locations in Southern California and coming to Texas soon. I also mentor and invest in female-founded businesses. And what I found after stepping away from the day-to-day of Sprinkles is that I wanted to help more women start businesses, but I wanted to do it at scale. And there's only so many hours in the day to mentor people. So I decided to write this book to inspire people with the mindset, with actionable tools to be able to start their business or take their side hustle into, a real for-profit enterprise.
Well, and we love that because I feel like this is, like you're saying, it's a purpose-driven book. And for us at Town, there are lots of wonderful and beautiful nuggets that, we've all been sharing with each other about what is super helpful in finding your passion and being able to create a career and a business out of it. I really feel like, at least for us, it's come at a wonderful time and at a great time for us because we're growing and scaling and trying to figure process out. I want to know, for you, at what point did you decide that this was the time to write this book? And we'd love to hear a little bit about that journey and what that looked like.
Of course. So, I mean, Jen, as an entrepreneur, as a mompreneur, there's no hours in the day to sit down and reflect on what you did right in your journey, right? You're always just sort of go, thinking about the next mountain you want to climb. And so I never thought about writing a book to talk about, the path that I had been on with Sprinkles. But the pandemic offered that perfect opportunity. I mean, it was all of a sudden the calendar was clear, right? I didn't even have to take the kids to school. They were Zooming. And so it was that moment of peace where I was able to sit down and reflect on what I'd been through, this crazy journey of building and scaling this company that had just started, in a moment of really sort of being at a crossroads. And I was able to sit down and write the lessons that I'd learned, the mistakes I'd made, and share my learnings with that sort of next generation that I'm trying to inspire.
And what would you say, like, I know you share a little bit, can you, for those who haven't gotten their hands on the book yet, what's one piece, like something that surprised you most in your kind of journey of starting a business, becoming an entrepreneur? What kind of surprised you most in that journey?
There are so many surprises. I think one of the biggest surprises was just how much of a mental exercise being an entrepreneur is, right? I mean, I am innately a very positive, optimistic, joyful person. So when I'm on the floor in the fetal position, that means that, there have been some tough bumps in the road, but it's really about how you pick yourself up again. I mean, it's sort of, there are going to be bumps in the road. It's life, it's business. It's really about how you recover from that, your resilience, your perseverance, and your ability to handle failure, which I like to say fail is, first attempt in learning. And I think Winston Churchill was the one who said, success is stumbling from failure to failure without loss of optimism. So it's really about how you pick yourself back up and keep on moving.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so, and following that up with failure, what are some of the failures or mistakes that you come across along the way that you feel or maybe, I don't know, became nuggets that helped you? Or
I think early on as an entrepreneur, I didn't think I needed a support system. Not that I didn't need it, but that as an entrepreneur, it was sort of me taking on the world, and that professional networks were really more for people in companies or corporate America. And so, granted, I had an incredible co-founder in my husband, so I had amazing emotional support, right nearby. But I really slept on the opportunity to build a bigger, network of support professionally. Just in terms of my friendships, I let a lot of them sort of lag and suffer because I was drinking from a fire hose from day one. I didn't feel like I had time for it, but I should have made time for it. And it became really it was clarified for me when I woke up as a new mom and I had questions about where do I take my child for mommy and me? How do I find a nanny? And I had nobody to call. I had literally just poured myself into this business night and day, had exhausted myself. And all of a sudden I was like, I am alone out here on an island. And it was at that point that I said, no, this is it doesn't matter what you're building if you have no one to share it with. And I really, really doubled down on intentionally building my friendships, building my network in LA. And when I talk about it now, people can't even imagine, because I have such an incredible group of friends and they're such a priority to me. But it really was a moment where I was like, wow, I have not done a good job of really having my network of relationships in a good place.
And so what would your advice be now, looking back, to someone who wanted to start a business? What is that, those lessons that you would kind of pass on to someone else?
I think you should build. I mean, really, when I was starting, there wasn't this emphasis on mentorship. There weren't these professional female organizations out there. There's so much out there now. I'm a member of Female Founder Collective, We Suite. I mean, there are countless more that are established online organizations that are there to help educate and support women. I'm a mentor to a few different women who, by the way, just DM'd me on Instagram and asked really nicely if I would be their mentor. So there are people out there who want to help, I guess, is my point. And you can find them. Not all of them are going to say yes. I mean, anyone you want as a mentor is sort of by their nature going to be a busy person, and they don't have time for it always. But there are people out there who want to mentor you and help. And I think you should focus on building that network of support.
Going back to when you were like solely focused and just kind of had, the on with just, I gotta power through, I have to power through, I have my business and like everything else I'm gonna put aside. What did you get out of that rut? What habits, how did you prioritize without letting your business fall to the way? How are you?
Again, it comes down to team. And for a while, I was really so controlling with my business because I'm such a details person, and I was so scared. I was in my sort of fear, right? I was working from fear in the sense that if I were to release my recipes to someone else, or hand over the keys to my location to someone to manage it, like, it wouldn't be perfect. And I had to get over that, because there were nights where Charles and I slept on the bakery floor in rolled up aprons, and it was not sustainable. And then you realize that there are amazing people out there, and they are there to pass the torch to and carry on your vision. And when I finally realized that I could release that responsibility, and I could take myself out of the daily weeds, the day-to-day stuff, to be able to focus on the larger strategic vision, that's what you're supposed to do as a founder. If you are mired in the details of sweeping the floors, I mean, yes, I say lead by example. I swept floors, but there's a time that comes where you need to move on from that if you want to grow your business.
Absolutely. Well, and I wonder as well, one thing that particularly stuck out when, like, one of your businesses or one of your arms is your online presence, and you have a wonderful TED Talk that and I wonder how that kind of came into play, or if you want to speak a little bit about that, because this concept about putting more play into our lives, the purpose, of play, which is something that I'm going to try to implement more in my life. Incredibly insightful and really wonderful. I wonder if you could speak a little bit about that and how that has been helpful.
I love that. I love that you want that for yourself, Jen, and I want to hear what your idea of play is. I'm so curious, because I feel like you do such a good job of playing. Like, you play in your garden, you play with your kids, and play means different things to different people. But I think the idea of my TED Talk was that I was really raised in this hustle culture, because I was brought up in investment banking, and it was like, if you left your desk before 11 or midnight, people would talk about you like you were lazy. And so I come from this environment, this culture of like grinding it out. And I realized that that's not sustainable. And if you can like extract yourself and do things that take yourself out of your head, right? Do something different, do something joyful, something that gets you in your flow, whether it's like hiking in Sun Valley or playing a game of Rummy Cube. That's where your best ideas happen. That's when your brain starts to fire. And so just this idea of hustle culture, I want to reject this notion that you have to work 24/7 to get the job done. Sometimes it's counterproductive, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like sometimes I have that loop as well in my head. Like, if I'm like hitting, the ground running, then somehow I'm not working hard enough, when it's working like harder, not smarter.
Yes.
it, I love when you talk about your children and watching them and how
Mm.
find presents in the garbage because they're using patience to find things around the house that you already have to create this world around them. And I love how you bring it up to adulthood and how we need to use that more and use a different part of our brains to create and play and how we can weave that into our business. I think it's brilliant and something that we all need to do more of.
I agree. I love that. And I think, yeah, you're right. Children are innately sustainable, right? They just work with the materials that are in front of them, and they're innately creative. And as we grow older, somehow we lose that, but we don't lose it. We just forget about it. It's still inside of us.
We squash it. We
Yeah.
don't. I think my idea of play would definitely be getting lost in the woods where no one can find me.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah. What about you, Kelly? What would you be doing for play?
Probably the beach.
Mm.
My kids are really into boogie boarding now, and they make me go with them. So I feel like when I'm boogie boarding with my kids, it's like I get lost and we're like giggling so much that I kind of forget myself a little bit. Yeah.
I love that. I've got a surfer now, so he's graduated from boogie boarding. I cannot join him on the surfboard.
So fun.
And what is that for you, Candace? Like when you are like overwhelmed at work and like, I mean, you've got so many businesses you're keeping track of, like how do you kind of keep yourself sustained? Where do you find time to like play and all of that?
It's been a little bit of a challenge recently while I've been launching this book baby into the world. But I really love, I mean, Jen and I share a passion for hiking in nature. And I think there is that theme. I mean, you mentioned the ocean. Like, I think there is something magical and healing and innately playful about nature. Yeah. And I find that that's when I have my best ideas, when I'm hiking and I just can kind of be with my thoughts. But I also love to dance, and I also love Rummikub, and I love pickleball. I mean, all of that is so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like, I'm sure this is tough because you have a bunch of babies, so to speak, but do you have a particular one that you enjoy most? Like from being on, a TV presence and TV personality and doing fun events like Sugar Rush, or being in the bakery at home and like cooking, or what do you enjoy being on a podcast, hosting a podcast? Like what's your favorite sort of arm of your business that you really love to do?
I think I like any position where I'm inspiring people. And on the show, like Cupcake Wars and Sugar Rush, I found the most joy when I would talk to friends like you, Jen, and hear about their kids that were inspired and how they would get in the kitchen and be creative.
We're all it's not just to the kids, like we were all in love.
Thank you. And then now with in this new sort of stage of my career, I am really finding such joy in inspiring female founders and inspiring women in particular to just sort of bet on themselves and go after their dreams. And that takes, that looks like different things. It's obviously writing this book, it's mentoring founders, and it's also investing in female founded businesses on sort of an angel investing scale.
That's awesome. So we're going to turn this over to the holidays, since the holidays, and we're talking about sustaining our holidays. What's your favorite thing to bake over the holidays?
Oh, you know what? Before Sprinkles was born, I had this little nascent business out of my home kitchen, and it was for bûche de Noël. Do you guys know what those are? The little holiday, the roll cakes that look like a log.
Yes.
And so I have a soft spot in my heart for bûche de Noël because it just was like a time in my life that I look back on fondly. I mean, it was not very fun, to be honest, because I was like, sweating it out over these holiday cakes and losing my shirt in terms of all the hours I put in. But they're really fun. You can you bake them flat, and then you spread with like cream or ganache or buttercream. You roll them up, and then you put either a chocolate ganache or chocolate buttercream on top, and then you rake it with a fork so it looks like bark. Mm-hmm. And then I used to make these meringue mushrooms, which I would like dust with cocoa. So it looked like, you can the sky's the limit with them. You can make them look really realistic. You can make them look more rustic. But I think holiday Yule logs are super fun.
I'm going to have to try that this year.
I know. Do your kids like to bake, Candace?
They do like to bake. They prefer to eat. They prefer to eat, but they do
Okay.
like to bake. And, you know, I'd say cookies are definitely on the regular, pancakes, you know, cupcakes when we have a little bit more time. But I think they have no choice but to love to bake. How about you guys? What are you cooking for the holidays?
Oh,
Cookies.
Yeah.
Like that's our go-to is sugar cookies in our house. We eat the dough. Most of the dough is like gone before it ever goes in the oven, I feel like.
yeah.
That's half the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Licking the spoon is the best part. Um, yeah, my aunt actually has this recipe, this biscotti recipe, that came from, I think maybe her grandmother. She's from Georgia. It's like this southern biscotti, I don't know, biscotti recipe. I think we posted it maybe last year, but that's, I'm not great at it, but I try every year to get it. And she sends them out as gifts in these tins, and it's always like the best surprise every Christmas. I guess it's not a surprise, but the best I'll wait for. And she would bake it with her kids. So I try to do that with my kiddos, but I like mine now, like they're still so young, but they wake up and they make their own pancakes. So I don't know if that says something about me as a baker. Like I'm not, which I
No,
you know,
it says something about you as a mom that you've raised self-sufficient kids. Good job.
Right.
Thanks. I'll take that as a win, but I don't know. It might be because I'm not as good as I'd like to be, but I don't know.
Jen, you have many talents. I think if you can't make a perfect pancake, you're still golden.
Love you. Well, I love your book. And we all about it at town and just texting nuggets about it. What do you want everyone to take away from your book? And where else they can buy it, purchase it here, please purchase it. And
yeah,
where
you
else?
guys can buy it right at the button below. And what's fun about that is it'll be autographed for me if you buy it that way.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can get it at your local independent bookstore. Please support your local independent bookstore, Barnes & Noble, and of course, Amazon. But I think what I want people to take away from this is that anyone can be an entrepreneur. We see a lot in the media about, you know, guys, for the most part, you know, raising hundreds of millions of dollars and sending rocket ships to the moon. And entrepreneurship doesn't have to be that. It's a whole spectrum, and everyone has a part to play as long as you have a passion and you have a plan. And I built a big business out of a simple cupcake, something that our kids could make. I know your kids can do it, Jen. And so I don't want people to be intimidated or daunted by that. I do think there are things to keep in mind, and truly I take you through all the steps. I think it's important to dream big, but I also think it's important to test your idea on a small scale first before going all in. And to be nimble. You can't be so just attached and in love with your idea that once you launch, if it wasn't quite what you thought, you're not able to sort of pivot a little bit and make it work. And the best founders will literally take an idea that they thought would work that didn't and turn it around and create something totally new and make that business a success. So there's so much to it, but I really simplify it and hope to demystify and break down the barriers to entrepreneurship and sweet success. And I think even if you're not starting a business, you're just going after like a big life goal. It's really, I talk so much about mindset and facing your fears and building your confidence. I think this book can be for you as well, even if you're not, you know, don't have a business idea on the back burner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful book. It's very well thought out. It's thoughtful, and we just love your journey throughout as well.
Thank you. And I want to say I love your journey and I love what you're doing with town, and bravo and let's go, ladies.
Thank you. Thank
you so much. Yeah. And everyone go vote, please. If you haven't voted, please go vote today.
Go vote.
Thank you so much, Candace.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, everyone who bought the book. I appreciate it. Happy Election Day.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.